Hey there, it's Cuthy. I hope you're all keeping well. Just before we get into today's video, I just want to say that feel free to check out my podcasts called The Rave Sessions by Cuthy. It's all on mixcloud.com. What I'll do is I'll link it down below in the description for you as usual. What I'll do is every week I mash up all different styles of dance and rave music from light to heavy. Absolutely anything, now I mean absolutely anything that comes under the dance and rave umbrella. And if you want to shout out, just hit me up. As I'm talking now, I'll put up all of my social medias on the screen for you. And yeah, that is about it. And hope you enjoy the video. Hey, yes, it's Cuthy and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, just like I said in the previous video, I wanted to talk about how I got into EDM music. And yeah, it's going to be a bit of a story time. I've got a load of notes here. So yeah, let's get straight into today's video. Okay, right, so it all started off when I was listening to Cuthy on Radio 1, but he was on a different radio slot this time. He's on a radio show called The Residency. What he'd do is he'd start off at the heavier end of house music. It was what music has really gone into a phase of they like experimenting, you know, the house sounds with like the harder scene, if that makes sense. Don't know if that won't make sense, but yeah. So yeah, he would start off with like the heavy heavy side of house scene, and then he'd go into the much more harder stuff. And just like at the end of every radio show, I would then go onto the Radio 1 website and I would have a look at the track lists, and then I would then type them in on YouTube and have a listen to them, etc, etc. Then I then found a website which you could then download the radio shows, and I'd then go for a long walk and listen to them, and I just loved it because it was fresh beats every single time. Well, most times, because the Residency was on once every 3 weeks, I think it was. Yeah. They were on rotation, so shows are 2 hours, fresh beats for me. Yeah. But it was one radio show. There was a guest mix by a DJ called Alex Kidd, and I remember one of the tracks was a really awesome big room tune, and that drop really stood out in the mix. I remember listening to this guest mix several times when I was on a long walk. Then it was a few days after that, a couple of days after, I was then scrolling through Facebook, and a mate had posted a link to a track on YouTube called Animals by Martin Garrix. So clicked on it, you know what you do. So clicked on it, and then that drop, I was like, I recognise that one. And it was actually the track, well it was actually the drop from from that guest mix by Alex Kidd. But obviously the one that I had heard had been part of a mashup. I think it might have been part of Barbra Streisand. Do you remember Barbra Streisand? No, I can't quite remember actually, but it was definitely a mashup. So yeah, I just remember a couple of days before, well not even that, it was couple of weeks before, I'd seen the name Martin Garrix flying about, so I thought, right, okay. And then I'd seen that his age was like, what was it, 16 or something when he brought out Animals. So I thought, no wonder there's so much hype about him, because this is brilliant production. And back then I didn't know anything about music production, so I was just like, wow, no wonder he's getting hyped up so much. Anyway, yeah, moving on. So yeah, during that evening, after I'd looked at Martin Garrix Animals and listened to it, etc, etc, I then came across a name on YouTube called Spinning Sessions, and I then looked into them more, and I realised that it was a podcast. And because I'd already started listening to a podcast, well not started, but I've been listening to a podcast for a couple of years called Keeping the Rave Alive, as my hoodie explained it in the last video. But yeah, I love listening to podcasts, so I was like, get in there, I'm finding something new here, could lead me to more music, etc, etc. So I looked into this podcast, and then there was loads of shows that I found, and many different guest mixes, and I'd never really heard them, but from the top of my head I do remember the likes of Rehab were mentioned, Vinai, TJR, Anyway, when I come into editing, it'll be on the screen because I can't remember. Hey, it's Cuthy. I'm just editing today's video and I found out that it was TJR. So yeah, my bad. Back to the video. But yeah, so there are many different guest mixes, and then so I listened to a few of them instantly. You know, I loved it. I thought I would do as well because, you know, the instant love for rave music, etc, etc. And it's all heavy, full of bass, booming, stuff you'd rave to, you know. As time ticks on more, I was finding more of these tunes, and then this is where the word EDM, or the genre EDM, comes into it all. You know what I mean? I can't quite remember, but I was listening to Cuthy either on Radio 1 or I was on this Keeping It Over Live podcast. I might have even been like a live stream, because I remember he's done a couple of live streams on Facebook about music and raves and all that. In fact, he used to have one called Rants and Raves, so it might have even been that one. I can't quite remember now, but anyway, yeah, he brought up that he was loving these EDM sounds, which stood for electronic dance music, and he said he was loving them. So I was like, okay, and I've been listening to him a lot more. You know, I listened to what he had to say about it all. He started talking about electronic dance music, well, EDM. So skip forward time because I can't really remember much happening that stood out after that. I think not much really happened, you know, after that. I was just what I was mainly doing. I was just going on walks and listening to more of these podcasts. But yeah, anyway. Then I remember I was on a drive with my mates one evening, and we, you know, stopped the car, pulled up, we were just blaring a few tunes, and then my mate said, "Hey, Cuthy, me and such and such have found this tune, and I think you will absolutely love it." So I was like, "All right, yeah, okay, sound." It was a track called Cuba, but the way it's like, but the way you see it is C.U.B.A. I don't know what it stands for, or if he's on about the place Cuba. I've got no idea. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it was really like a lecky sort of build up, then a big room drop. Sorry, it was pumping, and I loved it. And then the chart version was called Open Wide, I think. Yeah, it's called Open Wide, and yeah, I was just loving it, you know, because it was more of what I was looking for, and you know, it was just more of the big room boom and stuff like that. Yeah. But anyway, as I then looked into EDM more and looked into Calvin Harris more, I seen him like doing more stuff related to EDM. I can't remember if he was doing like any particular like EDM events, but it was just a lot of EDM related stuff. I then went off. Well, it's not that I went off EDM, I didn't really hear much EDM as time then skipped on, you know, like coming towards more recent years, because this was in like 2015, so we're talking like 5 years now. But yeah, because what I normally do is I'd be listening, you know, to you know, the hard style, hard dance, etc. You know, yeah, I listen to like hard dance and hard style for, you know, throughout really, and then if I pick up another genre, I'll dive into that more, and that's where I find out more sounds, and you know, for the mixes and all that. But yeah, that's how I then found EDM, and ever since then I've loved EDM, and as time then ticked on even more. Me saying as time ticks on, that's the only way I can put it really. But yeah, as time's then got on, even more, I've then seen that EDM's sparked a debate a lot more, you know, of like the American side of it, etc. But which is fair enough, you know, because everyone's got their opinion, you know, at the end of the day, haven't they? But yeah, that is pretty much it. A bit more of a story time there for you, because it's been a while since I've done one. I think the last one I done was how I actually discovered rave music. So yeah, it's all good, and you know, I'll link that down below. And the latest podcast is now out because it's Friday. I've uploaded it much earlier than usual today, so yes. So I'll link that down below, and yeah, I'll link below my EDM debate video. Because just in case you want to watch it, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, that'll be it. Like and subscribe, because that'll be amazing. And as usual, stay safe and rave safe in your bathroom, living room, whichever it may be. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.